touching hearts and minds around the world with the power of God's Word. Welcome to Praise Tabernacle, the Fivefold Apostolic Center, because we are people restored and inspired, serving everywhere.
Pastor Josh mentioned tomorrow happens to be my birthday, and what he didn't mention is tomorrow is my 68th birthday. So I talked to the elders, and I told them that for the next couple of years, I really want to start investing time in some of our young and up-and-coming leaders so that in the years ahead, they can come alongside Pastor Josh as he continues to navigate this church into the coming decades. So you'll be seeing, just as you've seen in recent weeks, some folks coming up and sharing the pulpit, you'll be seeing more and more of that in these next couple of years as we try to raise up some of our gifted young leaders. Also, and you're starting to see this too, because Mary Ann Coggins has been my worship leader over the years that I've been pastor here. It's been 19 years that I've been senior pastor here, and she's been my worship director. And so we're transitioning the leadership of the worship team over to Donovan Charles, who did a great job this morning. So in the coming next couple of years, you're going to see Mary Ann on some weeks leading, and some weeks it'll be Donovan. And it's just part of a process we're going through as a church to move leadership onto the next generation. So we want to make sure you're aware of all that. Now, when I was a little boy, I used to pray for things that I wanted, like a bicycle. And then I grew older, and I learned that you're really not supposed to pray for things like bicycles. You're supposed to pray for things like mercy and forgiveness. So I stole a bicycle, and then I prayed for mercy and forgiveness. Worked out. So mercy and forgiveness are the major themes of Luke chapter 17. It says this, "Now he said to his disciples, 'It is inevitable that stumbling blocks come, but woe to the one through whom they come. It is better for him if a millstone is hung around his neck and he is thrown into the sea than he may cause one of these little ones to sin.'" So you can paraphrase those opening verses that Jesus just said with these simple words. Sin is no joke. Sin hurts people. And even though we know that sin is going to happen, okay, Jesus said it's inevitable, but don't let it come from you. See, we know that we're all going to fall short from time to time. And because we know that, maybe we ought to be able to show mercy when other people fall short towards us. And that's what Jesus addresses next, starting in verse 3. He says, "Be on your guard. If your brother sins, rebuke him. And if he repents, forgive him. And if he sins against you 7 times a day and returns to you 7 times saying, 'I repent,' you shall forgive him." So that seems like a lot. But actually in Matthew chapter 18, verse 22, Jesus ups the ante a little bit more. He says, "I'll tell you what, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 77 times. So mercy and forgiveness, if you want to receive them, you have to be willing to give them to others. And along with mercy and forgiveness, there's another theme then in this chapter, and that's the theme of thankfulness. And thankfulness should be a natural extension of having received mercy. And we're going to see that in these next few verses. But as I said, one of my goals in these next couple of years is to raise up some of our gifted younger leaders. So I'm not going to take you through these next verses. Israel Kennedy is going to take you through these next verses. is.
Okay. Sometimes it's hard to be thankful when you're sick, going through a tragedy, or having a tough time in life. It's hard to thank God for what he has done. And while life is tough, and we all go through struggles, there's always a reason to thank God. Simple things like God waking you up in the morning, or God blessing you with a good breakfast. These are reasons to thank him. Now, we often make the mistake of praying to God only when we need or want something from him. I'm guilty of making this mistake too, but we should be praying through good and bad times. Doing this shows that you are faithful to him no matter what's going on in your life. And through that, we can find good in the bad. Now, in Luke 11 through 19, where Jesus heals 10 men of leprosy, I'm going to read that right now. As Jesus continued on toward Jerusalem, he reached the border between Galilee and Samaria. As he entered the village there, 10 men with leprosy stood at a distance, crying out, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." He looked at them and said, "Go show yourself to the priest." And as they went, they were cleansed of their leprosy. One of them, when he saw that he was healed, came back to Jesus, shouting, "Praise God!" He fell to the ground at Jesus' feet, thanking him for what he has done. This man was a Samaritan. Jesus asked, "Didn't I heal 10 men? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give glory to God except this foreigner?" And Jesus said to the man, "Stand up and go. Your faith has healed you." Okay. One line that sticks out to me from this verse is the last line, "Your faith has healed you." To me, this means that we are rewarded for our trust in God. And like the one leper who came back to show his gratitude, we are to thank God continuously. Thanking God for big or little things make us more aware of how good God is. This helps us of all the negatives of our life, giving us the power to minister to other people of the goodness of God. Now, some people aren't as fortunate as us and don't have a great parents or a church community to rely on when they're in need. These people may feel like they don't have a reason to thank God. That's why we need to be the light of Christ in their life, just like Jesus was to the 10 men with leprosy. Now, to close out, I want to make one more point. Life is tough, as I said. Sometimes you'll be going through a great season. Sometimes you'll be going through a bad season. Now, I want to challenge some of you guys. If you're going through a bad season, and trust me, during life you're going to be going through some. If you're going through a bad season, I want you to continuously get into your word, continuously pray. And if you're going through a great season, I want you to show people that blessing. I want you to bring healing and be the light that people need in their life. And most importantly, I want you to find good in the bad, because God works everything for good. Amen. Thank you, Pastor Steve.
I assure you, you'll be hearing more from that young man in the days ahead. See, there's nothing wrong with asking God for the things that we need. But as we do so, we should be mindful of and thankful for the many blessings we've already received. For starters, we've been delivered from the kingdom of darkness and brought into the kingdom of God. Hallelujah. So in verses 20 and 21, we see this. Now, having been questioned by the Pharisees as to when the kingdom of God was coming, he answered them, saying, "The kingdom of God is not coming with signs to be observed, nor will they say, 'Look, here it is,' or 'There it is.' For behold, the kingdom of God is in your midst." See, the people of Israel had been waiting for God to come and establish his kingdom on earth. But they were expecting some type of military or political kingdom, something similar to what they had under King David and King Solomon. And now here comes Jesus, and he's talking about the kingdom being like a mustard seed or some yeast or other things that grow. And the Pharisees are looking around saying, "So when exactly is this kingdom of yours going to get here?" And the phrase that Jesus uses is that the kingdom of God isn't something that comes by outward show. In other words, God's kingdom is being built from the inside, from within our hearts, not with showy demonstrations. And the second point that Jesus makes is, I'm not sure why you're having such a hard time seeing what's happening, because it's happening right in front of your eyes. The kingdom's here. Verse 22, he said to his disciples, the days will come when you will long to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you will not see it. They will say to you, look, there, look here. Do not go away, do not run after them. For just as lightning, when it flashes out of one part of the sky, shines to the other part of the sky, so will the Son of Man be in his day. But first he must suffer many things and be rejected by this generation. Jesus is wondering how well his disciples' faith in the kingdom is going to hold up when the king's taken away. He warns them, don't get shaken in your faith when I get arrested, when I get beaten, and even when I get crucified. Because these things are necessary in order to establish the true purpose of the kingdom. And what is that true purpose? Mercy. Amen. Forgiveness of sins. And in verse 32, Jesus gives this intriguing perspective on the concept of judgment and mercy with 3 words. He says this, remember Lot's wife. See, if you remember the story, when Lot's wife was running away from the coming destruction of Sodom, she did what? She looked back. She looked back with longing for that life that she had left behind, and she ended up turning into a pillar of salt. And Jesus is saying, don't make that same mistake. Run toward my kingdom. Do not look back at your past. Why? Because what is forgiven is over and done with. If you've confessed it, then you've been cleansed from it. And you no longer have to worry about being judged for it. And I think that's what Jesus means in verse 33 when he says this. He says, whoever seeks to keep his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life will preserve it. In other words, what he's saying is, do you want to keep holding on to the past, to the life that you once had? Because if you do, you're going to miss out on the future that God has planned for you. But if you're willing to let go of the past, to be forgiven and forgotten by the blood of Jesus, then you have a whole new life ahead of you. And in the final verses of chapter 17, Jesus tells his disciples there will definitely be a judgment. Yes, there's going to be a judgment, and it's going to be selective. In other words, some people are going to get judged, and some people are going to get mercy. But it's not necessarily what you've been thinking about these verses, so listen. He says this, I tell you, on that night there'll be 2 in one bed. One will be taken, the other will be left. There'll be 2 women grinding at the same place. One will be taken, and the other will be left. 2 men will be in the field. One will be taken, and the other will be left. Now, I like to check out people's preconceived ideas about those verses with this simple question. Do you want to be taken, or do you want to be left? Let's vote. Let's vote. Taken? Got taken back in a... Taken? Who wants to be left? We're left. Okay, some people don't care. There's no raising here for anything. All right. Here's the thing. It is a trick question, which is why you're going like this. He got me. I know he's messing with me. See, the word taken here is oftentimes people think it's talking about the rapture, but it's not that word. It has nothing to do with the rapture. The word taken here is actually means like taken hostilely, like arrested, forcibly taken. And most commentators think that this is referring to the coming judgment against Jerusalem for rejecting Jesus as their Messiah. So really the thing that Jesus is talking about here is some men are going to be taken away and arrested by the Roman soldiers. And some are going to be left for whatever reason. So do you really want to be taken? No. I don't think so. But here's the more important question. What is the defining element that distinguishes those who will be judged, those who will be taken, and those who will receive mercy? Is it church attendance? Mm-hmm. Good works? How much you tithe? See, there's only one thing that puts a person on the list for God's mercy and removes them from the list for his judgment. And that's salvation through faith in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ for the forgiveness of sins. If you don't have that, you're not ready to face God. I've got some musicians I need to come up here and join me, musicians. If you do have that, then you don't ever have to worry about your eternal destiny. The Bible says those who have come to Christ, we are not the objects of his wrath. We're the objects of his mercy. It's mercy. It's forgiveness, along with, like Izzy said, thankfulness. We should all receive those things freely from the throne of grace. And we should also show them freely to everyone around us because we all need mercy. And so we're going to do a little song to close out here, a little song about mercy. You might actually recognize it. One, two, three, four. Whoa, mercy, mercy me. Things ain't what they used to be. No. Forgiveness go, judgment is the wind that blows from north and south and east. Whoa, mercy, mercy me. Things ain't what they used to be. Our nation should be on our knees and praying. People should be saying, it's mercy that we seek. Oh, Jesus, mercy, mercy me. You know, things ain't what they used to be. Salvation's calling out across the sky for children who are crying and babies who are dying. Whoa, mercy, mercy me. Ungrateful hearts of man, Lord, without your mercy, how much can we all stand? Whoa, we need your mercy, oh God. Mercy now, more urgently, help us to give it, show it, and receive. There's no battle that you cannot win, because you are the great I am. Let mercy heal the painful cry. Oh, had sons that died. Lord, have mercy on our souls today. Oh God, please make a way. Help us to love each other and agree. Things will get better if we just believe. Lord, we just need your mercy. Lord, we just need your mercy. We need your mercy, Lord. Marvin Gaye got nothing on these boys. Father God, we just come before you today. We are so thankful for your mercy. Mercy and forgiveness, they cannot happen outside of thankfulness. Lord, you showed us that in this chapter by encapsulating that story of the 10 lepers in the middle of your talk about mercy and judgment, saying, listen, when you finally receive your mercy, when you finally receive your forgiveness, please take a moment and be thankful. And please pass it along to others who need mercy, who need forgiveness. Let them know there's only one source, only one place to go, and that's at the cross of Jesus Christ. To go and lay ourselves at his feet and say, Lord, pour your mercy on me. Pour your forgiveness on me. I am so thankful that you've made a way for me to be with you for all of eternity through your great sacrifice. And we thank you for this today in Jesus' name. Amen. The altar is open this morning. If you need personal prayer for anything, please come on up. We'll be glad to pray with you.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed the service and you want to learn more about the ministry, visit our website at praisetabernacle.com, where you can learn about the church leadership, find devotional content, weekly newsletters from the pastors, and much more. You can also like, follow, and subscribe to us on Facebook, Instagram, our YouTube channel, and many other social media platforms. We hope to see you soon here at Praise Tabernacle. We are people restored and inspired, serving everywhere.